Yanko na yanko to aso ewa SG money said the name isieti o.
If possible, you welcome to the SG where this morning as the Hughton. And what is the member of the management committee, Alhaji Karim Bruza. So you're welcome. Well, before I invite your questions, I would like to run you through the most important part of today's program. So, through the Ghana Football Association, or in conjunction with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Mr. Chris Hughton will be the next coach of the Black Stars from now until December 31, 2024. Mr. Chris Hughton will be the next coach of the Black Stars from now until December 2024. He will work with two assistants already. We know Masudi Dramani and George Boateng were with him during the World Cup in Qatar. They were assisting Otto Addo, and Chris was also in the role as the technical advisor, but today he takes over as the head coach of the team. Now, for the first time, the head coach and his two assistants will have their contracts running concurrently. What it means is that the contract that Mr. Chris Hughton has signed, his two assistants have both signed the same contract, which would run until December 31, 2024. The two parties have agreed that the terms of this contract shall be subject to a performance review. Obviously, we know we are on a good course, so once we come to the end of the contract in December 2024, we will review the performance and hopefully renew. The Ghana Football Association shall determine his place of work, but Ghana is the first place of work. Any other place that the FA determines would depend on what he wants to do at a given time. If he intends traveling to monitor players, the Football Association will make the condition prevalent enough for him to do so. The head coach and his assistants will be paid through the Ministry of Youth and Sports. And of course, the contracts have been signed, and going forward, we have an agreement in place. His official place of residence shall be in Ghana, but anytime he wants to travel, he will be given the needed support or provided with the needed support to do so. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the various areas where we think the public must know at this moment. Before I invite your questions, I would ask Chris Hughton to tell us about Kumasi is all ears.
SOMPA Sports.
Firstly, thank you all very much for coming this morning. Regarding my emotions, of course, I've been involved with the association and involved with the team for almost a year now. although that is in a different capacity as technical advisor, what that has allowed me to do is to get a good feel for the squad, to build up relationships with those in the association and for those around the association. So I think that's allowed me to get a little bit of what we call a head start. But as regards my emotions, as most of you know, the large majority of my managerial career has been at club level. And also as a player, for those that know me would know that I represented the Republic of Ireland as a player. So to represent Ghana and the Black Stars as the head coach is something that I'm incredibly proud of. Sorry about the noise. It's something that I'm incredibly proud of. It's something that I will give everything to make the team as successful as possible. It's something that I will do to make sure that the communication and the relationship that I have with this association, for those around the association, and of course the supporters, to give all of my best. So something that I'm hugely looking forward to, but very much our game is about support. And as I said, support from the association, but mostly the support from the huge array of fans that we have. And that starts with obviously a very difficult game at Kumasi on Thursday.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you so much, Chris. Colleague journalist, your questions are welcome. Frank Nero will coordinate that. You raise your hand, you'll be given the microphone, you mention your name, your station, and then your question. Thank you.
SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports.
Hello, Coach.
SOMPA Sports.
My name is Evans Sofochu. I work with CTFM, CTTV. My question is two. One, what sort of Black Stars or brand of football are we to expect from your Black Stars? Two, you've been around the team for a year now. What's your response to allegations of interference in the technical team's work from the GFA hierarchy? Thank you.
Okay, so on the second question first, all I can say is that I am the new head coach. So anything that you speak of before my time here is very much something that you are bringing up and is in the past. All I can speak about is my communication and correspondence that I had with the association in my time being involved so far. And I can only speak highly of that lines of communication and correspondence and the support that I've had from the association. So this is one that I think it's hugely important, because for the Black Stars to do well and achieve what we want to achieve, this is mostly about the players and the players performing, but it's about the technical staff, it's about the supporters around, but it's also very much about the support from the association. And it's very difficult to go in the direction you want to if you don't have all of them things aligned. And I can only speak of my experiences so far. And I said the communication that I've had with the association has been very good. As regards what type of team we will see, what we want to see a winning team, because there can be and there will be lots of questions on a style of football, players that play, why is this player not playing and why is this player playing? Are you too defensive? Are you too offensive? Ultimately, what we all want to see is winning football. And that starts with the correct preparation of the team, using the players to the best of their ability, and picking a team that suits the type of players that we have. So I think we all, as coaches, start on the same level, same starting point. The starting point is to put together a group of players, to play as a team, and to win football matches.
The next question.
Thank you so much. I'm a free your FM.
Sports.
On the 19th of March 1982, Ghana won against Libya. So that's about 41 years ago. We've had 33 coaches since 82. You are the 34th coach, Mr. Hughton. What capacity or what capabilities makes you ideal for this very demanding job? Number two, you were the technical advisor for the Stars. You talked about your association and all of that. Will you describe yourself as, would you describe that stint, that advisory or consultancy role as a failure, or you think you were successful? And finally, how would your coaches or your coaching staff and your players describe you as a coach? How would they describe you?
Probably suggest that we keep our questions short and probably one question per person so that the rest could also get a chance and ask their questions. Thank you, Kwabena Obin Efriye, for your question. Harry, do we take the questions or he responds?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead with the response, Coach.
Yes, if you're asking me, firstly, why I am in this role, and the obvious answer to this one is because the Football Association of Ghana asked if I would do this role, and after whether I would be interested in being the next head coach. It's a role that I didn't hesitate to accept. As regards my capabilities for this role, I've been in football for a long time. Not only as a head coach, but also as an assistant coach. I was an assistant coach for some 14 and a half years before I was a head coach. Then went on to be a head coach. And for those that know my career as a head coach, that has been in the Championship in England, but also managed 3 teams in the Premier League in England. So I think my standing and credentials as a coach of coaching at a good level, I think is good. You know, everybody has different opinions. The difference, of course, is managing or coaching at international level and club level. And of course, there is a difference. You know, the preparation time is less. Of course, at club level, you have the players day in and day out to be able to develop a team. But this is international football, so every coach or every manager in international football has the same difficulties, and we have to get round them. What I have is, I say, a lot of experience as a head coach, and I will have to use all of them experiences to determine the way forward for the team, to pick the team, to pick the squad, the tactics of the team. These are things that I'm used to, and also adjusting to a less period of preparation. You know, we had players that played yesterday, so in effect we'll train on Tuesday, we'll train on Wednesday, and play a game on Thursday. So these are the things that I would like to think that my years in experience have allowed me to do. As regards my role as technical advisor, then my role predominantly was to support the technical staff, to be a sounding board for the technical staff and the head coach. And I think overall there were disappointments in the World Cup. There's no doubt about that. But I think we had a lot of pluses. You have to.
SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports.
All right, yɛbɛsɛn abɔ mmɔden na yɛtumi akɔ joini feed no na yɛaresɛde nneɛma si kɔte coach Chris Hughton ɛna na ɛyɛ pa no ntoma ahwɛ nkɔmmɔ odi ne nneɛma a ɔde ewuram na bibibia ɛdedadeda na kɔma ɛkɔ kamakama pa deɛ agye yɛbɛsɛn akɔ na Michael Asareboado Michael akɔme agye mfi abɔ mmɔden na sɛrɛ ɔpɛ ipa no kyerɛkyerɛ ne nsɛm a nsɛntwerɛfoɔ ɛtoma no bisa na baako mmienu bi no wabɔ mmɔden na watumi atoa so edi ama ɛdze Ghana deɛ waba no waba edwuma no nso deɛ yɛ expect so ɔbɛhwɛ na wayɛ ne kamakama pa bi ɔyɛ ni abre hu Black Stars a wagye cap da na ahwɛ sɛ de ho nkɔmmɔ no esi atie ne deɛ wura ma ɛzi MP nso kra no maako bi na anya akwanya ahu Black Stars a ɔmo nya bɔ mmɔden etimi enya trophy da ntina ɛwɔ sɛ waba no yɛhwɛ na ewura mo qualify no nkɔmmɔ awodo na yɛno no edididia na ɛboa na nneɛma deda di mpɛrɛmɛ ntu nso no betimi ajoin yɛ SOMPA Sport Official on Facebook na wawramo on Sato so a wa like wa share wa comment na aboa na bibibia enso etimi adeda ye na neema akọ kama pa di yenko na yensan konko to aso.
Have to remember that what is deemed success and failure is different to different people. My responsibilities are, and what we have to remember is that I have the responsibilities to if I look at the present squad that we have, remember, we went into a World Cup campaign with the youngest squad in the World Cup. So my balances are on bringing these young players through and also making sure that the experienced players that we have in the squad can be a good combination. So it's always going to be a mix of what is the most important thing. And the most important thing is always here and now. We have two games this week, and this is what the most important thing is. But I also have to have an eye on development. And I think I would be judged on away team play, what I've made from the players that we have, whether I've managed to get the best out of the players that we have, and have a support, and this is the most important thing, that have a support that enjoy seeing their team play. Now, what is judged as success and failure will be perceived in different ways. Ultimately, at this moment, it's about winning 2 games this week. It's about qualification to get to AFCON, and it's doing and preparing the team as well as we can from AFCON and performing the best that we can in an AFCON tournament. And it's normal. It's normal that you will be judged on them.
All right, thank you. Okay, I think it deserved my attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Coach, once again, congratulations on your appointment. In your opening statements, you indicated that your time, with the team for the Nigerian game and then the World Cup allowed you to know the squad and then the technical stuff as well. My question is that the reason why you didn't really tweak the squad? You've kept a significant number of them in your squad for the Angola double header. And then knowing the squad is a different thing, but knowing the expectation of the country is also a different thing. How does the Nigeria game, especially in Kumasi, and the atmosphere, compare? I know you've played in some big stadia, you've played, managed some big teams. On Tyneside, it's a very, very mad football city. How does that pressure, especially in games in Kumasi, compare to what you've had experience as a player and then a manager?
Okay, so firstly, I'll speak about the squad itself. I think in my time I've been involved, and I looked at this very roughly this morning. There have been a lot of new players that have come into the squad. So if I think of the dynamics of the team, and when I pick the squad, is to try to incorporate the best I can with the new players that have come into the squad, and of course the existing squad members. I can only ever pick 25 players, and I think most of you would know that we have some injuries. So some players that have come into the squad that wasn't in the initial squad. But it's that balance. And what I didn't want to do was, because what I can do is if I'm looking at the amount of talent that we have out there, I potentially could have brought in, another new 3, 4, 5 players that have not been involved in my period of time. But we have to have some consistency in the squad. And we spoke about going out of a World Cup in the last game, but we have to remember, this is a team that got to the World Cup when there were numerous very, very good teams, African teams, that didn't get there. So the starting position is good. I say, with the introduction of a lot of new players in my period of time here, I have to look for some type of consistency in the squad. The game in Kumasi, yes. And I think it was difficult for me. It's my first time in Kumasi, my first time at a game. And I think when you're there around that type of atmosphere, it's difficult for it not to affect you. And it does. How vibrant it was, the build up to the game, the intensity of the game itself, but the intensity of our crowd. And I have no doubt that the influence that the crowd played on the team and the head coach. So this is something that's always important for us. And you are right, I've played in big stadiums before and big atmospheres before. And you are always reliant on that atmosphere to get behind the team. And it does make a difference. So certainly as regards what I saw there, yes, it was something that was wonderful for me to see and something that I, to this day, remember.
All right. Okay.
SOMPA Sports.
Oh, thank you very much. My name is Stephen Izando. I work at Love FM and Isha FM of the Multimedia Group Limited. Congrats, Chris, once again, and I wish you well. In your short stint with Ghana Football as technical advisor of the Black Stars, what have you made of local football? I'm talking about the Ghana Premier League. And what is the possibility that going forward, we have some of the players playing in the Ghana Premier League featuring in your future call-ups? Thank you very much.
Firstly, what I can tell you is from the day that I've been involved with the association, which is, I say, about 1 year ago, I was made aware and stressed upon how important the local game is to the association and to us as technical staff. So this I am very conscious of. And of course, in my period of time so far, we have had some players that have made the squad, okay, from
SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports.
All right, yɛbɛsɛ akɔna yɛakɔna yɛakɔ aso ɔnom ti afei na wajoine na ɔhwɛ na coach Chris Hughton baba bɛwura mo krodi amane na yɛpa no ntoma na yɛyi na di ana yɛyi na kyɛ magana ni bia uzampa ɔno na ɛba na yɛdwuma no wa baba bɛboa na ne makɔyie pretimi ara me na nsɛntwɔfo guso a tutu na no mani yi nsɛm bia no tie ne nkɔmmɔ di a very very interesting ba no or jirizi o nneɛma bebree wɔ so de rema bɛboa na Ghanaian football no nneɛma akɔyie pa etimi ɛde amantie nkyɛ yɛbɛsia join feed no ne akɔna yakɔ akotie kakra na yɛresɛ de nneɛma esi ɛkɔ bi nkɔmmɔ de ɔbɔ yi bi pa ɛkyɛkyɛ ntutu ya wodo na yɛde rema bɛboa na nneɛma akɔ etimi ara ma man Ghana aresɛ de nhyehyɛ no esi ɛte anyambo a yɛwɔ de anim yɛbɔ AFCON qualifier yɛne Angola man no ɛna di ɛbɛbɔ ani after no yɛbɛsia akɔ akɔramo na yɛne ɔmabɔ ɛti na ɛwɔ se yɛhwɛ na yɛprɛprɛ kwama ne yi coach ni pie na nkɔmmɔ no ne sɛ de nneɛma esi kɔ no ɔne edia na ɛboa ma ne makɔyie permanent join anɔpa yi on SOMPA TV na wɔn sampa nkɔmmɔ no mu ɛde party yɛbɛsa akɔ na yahwe na coaching komo no yetimi erera mu kakra na aboa na neema deda ye kama pa so no etimi ede amamunti odi nkomo echeche nsema hodo na anima agiri se beboa ma neema akwe na resorusi kana ono nyini pamro bi obera afimuni one ya yidwuma na kakra as a technical advisor tamana ko totoado e wo no nti yensan ko ne yenkonkoto aso.
As in coaching, you are the head of our national team. Do you have any responsibility to help the other national teams or to even help coaches in general in Ghana? Finally, as I said, you lost your father. Sorry. How important was your father to your coaching career? And is there going to be any effect once he's gone?
Firstly, thank you very much for your condolences. My father played a very big part of my life. When I can tell you now, when my father came to England, he wasn't a fanatical football supporter. He wasn't, and he probably grew more knowledgeable as he got older, because it wasn't only myself that was a professional footballer, also my brother. So he grew more knowledgeable. I think that our development as young players wouldn't have been through my dad. He was a very supportive dad, but he, as I said, particularly in the early years, wasn't so much of a football fanatic, but that he grew on. So mostly with my dad, it's about the support network that he's always given me. So as in general, as opposed to just in football. As regards Baba Idrisu, as with so many players in the squad, you have decisions to make, so many. And for Baba Idrisu, we could speak about probably another 5, 6, 7 players that I had to consider closely before making a decision. So, 25 players in a squad will all be my own personal decisions. And they can be tight decisions. A way of playing. One player is a little bit different, has some different qualities to a different player. The mix in the squad, if I'm looking at players that we have in the squad, who will be a correct mix to somebody that perhaps we would be playing in a similar type position to them. So these are all very, very tough decisions. And I can tell you, this was a tough decision. But as I said, I can only pick 25 players, and there are players that will miss out. Yeah.
SOMPA Sports.
Yes. Yes. I mean, in my, what I have to do in my time here is I've already spoken about trying to attend as many games as I can from the local leagues. Also throughout the FA, we have the different age group teams, also the ladies teams, and I think we all know the prominence now of the ladies game, ladies football. So I will try to do as much as I can. It will always be about getting the correct balance. We have a huge number of the squad that play in Europe. So for me, it would be about getting the correct balance between opportunities to, of course, see players that are playing in Europe, but also players that are playing here in our local teams, and of course our other international teams. So in the period of time that I will try to do as much work as I can.
SOMPA Sports.
Good morning, Chris, and also accept my condolences. I'm sitting down here so that, my condolences. An opportunity for you this afternoon to see a local game. There's a Ghana Premier League game between Kim Faisal and BBNE Gold Stars at Abrankese. I'm sure the communications director will bring you there to watch and see the level of football on the domestic front, which will give you a good perspective of the barrier or the gap between the local league, and of course the level you're looking at the Black Stars. And then also, Chris, Hughton's legacy, your fingerprints, your footprints. You know, when we talk about managers, you always say that this is his style. That is, you know, that is how we know Zidane or Ancelotti or any national team coach. Chris Hughton, how would you describe yourself, and what kind of legacy would you leave for the Black Stars in a few years' time when you've won a few trophies, hopefully?
Okay, thank you very much. So on the first question, I am aware of the game today. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend. For those that know, I was here in Kumasi for most of the day yesterday in a very busy international period. We have players that have arrived that will train today, and we have players that will arrive tomorrow. So I think certainly it's a game that I would like to attend to, and if the circumstances were different and I had more time, then certainly I would attend. But at this moment, having spent so much time away from the home base yesterday and this morning, then I need to be back for the training group this afternoon. As regards to legacy, it's always a very difficult question, because, you know, what I am conscious of is results, and I'm very conscious of, in the media, supporters, fans, everything's the same. You win games, you're good. You lose games, you're not so good. These are the things that will never, ever change. So, you know, a legacy is about a way of playing. I understand the type of players that we have in the team, and I think we have a lot of technically talented players in the team. But I'm also conscious of what the supporters want most is to win football matches. And you have to go about your tactics in a different way to when you are playing one of the top teams than when you are not playing one of the top teams. So a legacy would be, I hope, that Chris came in for whatever period that is, was seen to work as hard as he can to make sure that a Black Stars team with good, quality, talented players achieve the best that they can achieve.
Okay. Congratulations, Coach. My name is Obede Champon. I work with Silver FM. Well, we've been having a lot of conversations, but we all know you are going to be involved in so many call-ups. Can you help us, the media, with regards to the 5 bases your call-ups will depend on? Whether it's going to be based on experience, whether it's going to be on form, whether it will be based on discipline, like the 5 metrics that you are going to use, or even if it's more, all the metrics you'll be using in your various call-ups. And again, we've not won a trophy. My brother will be asked about that question. Should Ghanaians expect a trophy from you at the end of the period? Can you promise us that? Or we should just go with the flow? You are just going to build a team, and if we win a trophy or not, we should be okay with that.
I'll go backwards and I'll start with the second question. You know, one thing I could tell you is there is not one coach, head coach or manager that would sit up here and guarantee a trophy. There is not one, because we cannot guarantee anything. What we can guarantee is that we will work as hard as we can to put a team together to create the right tactics, the right mentality, the right personnel to put ourselves in the best position to do that. And that, firstly, that comes from qualification. So we will work as hard as we can. But I think you probably would appreciate there isn't anybody that can guarantee anything, because there are certain things that always change things. And as regards the metrics, there are so many. You know, you've spoke about 5. There isn't 5. There is a thought process There is a thought process that goes into every squad. And sometimes that thought process gets thrown out the window when you have 3 or 4 players that are injured and you have to adjust. And sometimes you might have to adjust them same players with different type players, and then you have to adjust around that. International football is all about compromise. When you're picking the squad, it's always about adjusting what you have to the way that you want to play. So what you try to do is you try to have different types of players. So in your own head, what do you want? Do you want an attacking style of play with attacking fullbacks? Do you want to employ in midfield? Do you want defensive type midfield attack? And you have to work the individual players around the type of squad that you want.
SOMPA Sports.
But also that right balance between.
All right, Berna, ya bomodi na ya siya journey feed na ya kona. Kuchi bomodi bibi ni ama so pare. Ja bozo komana kuchi dinuze.
Oh yes.
Obi ni ama so chepa. Truluze apa. Oye technical tactical man.
Of course. Oye very well prepared for the job. Musheni answers now. I mean, very spot on. Clearly, what you say, oye ready or some experience. Now, if you look at questions I have been so far, one of the most important questions or answer I am there, the issue about trophy. Because I mean, Coach Ewo, one almost from now to next year is, let's say, almost 1.5 years, December 31st, according to communicating director Henry, Sam Reno and the contract, Nyami Aduma Bebe, depending on the money bond they be extended. And so if you are expecting him to win a trophy within that time, team building takes time. Obey me fortunate. Coach be fortunate. But unfortunately on the African continent it's not about fortunate today, it's about the quality of players at your disposal. And the answer no was spot on because of making it clear on teaming guarantee no a yes or back cancer send a expectation be buffer. A very key. Yeah, coach so budget trophy na 1G derby or say mean to me guarantee no nemum ni ametimi akanse me say mehye team
about the mami ko wimbra na ye sign brand ni medium comment mami komra.
First you have to look at there are also players that have come through the system and have developed very well and are very prominent in the Black Stars senior team. So for what you are saying, for something that hasn't happened, in a lot of occasions it has happened. You know, I think we are a squad that have had, to say, young players that have come through the system. Also for what you're saying, you know, this is nothing new. You know, this would be exactly the same at club level. You know, there are so many good young talents, and not all of them can develop the way that you would like to. The game can only hold so many players. The team can only have 11 players. A squad can only have 25. So for those that the young, talented, promising ones that didn't develop, sometimes there is also that young player that perhaps wasn't the level of the others and makes great progress. And sometimes they're the ones that you value more, that you didn't expect to get to the position that they have, and they have. And there are many examples of that. As regards a process, I said I will work as hard as I can to determine the young players that we have here. Most of them we would have on our files anyway, but to determine the ones that we have here and look at the processes for their development. So I said I will work as hard as I can on this one, but you'll be surprised that, you know, there would be far more that have come through a system and developed well than perhaps what you think.
Congratulations, Coach. My name is Saliu Jara. I work with Focus FM. My question is, Thomas Partey has been one of the integral members of this squad. But a lot of Ghanaians felt he has not living up to expectation compared to his performance at the club side. What do you make of that? And again, you are the new man in the dugouts. Going forward, are we going to see the best of Thomas Partey? Thank you very much.
But I think firstly, I am here as the new head coach, and what you are saying about Thomas is something that you are thinking. Your thoughts are very much what's happened before. But I can give you my comments on Thomas. I think he's a wonderful player, a wonderful footballer that's playing in an Arsenal team at the moment, and he's playing a huge part in their success at the moment. But Thomas's role, Thomas is what we regard in the game as a continuity player. You know, he's not going to be that player, that exciting player that's going to dribble past somebody and score a goal, or run down the flank, beat somebody, get a crossing. But Thomas's role has always been hugely important to the managers that pick him. And this is why at international level and at club level, he has always been in the teams because of his value to the team. And sometimes that type of player, his value for what we see in the team and what we see as coaches, sometimes is not seen outside because of the particular role that they play. They are hugely important to the team, to the coach, to getting good performances and winning football matches. And we all appreciate him, as would every manager that has played him.
We're taking the last three questions. Okay, you're 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, hi, Coach. Welcome to Kumasi. I'm Michael Asare-Bodu, SOMPA FM, SOMPA TV. We saw pictures and videos of you partaking the Akwesi Day celebrations yesterday. Now, for someone who's quite alien to our culture, our traditions, and also to our football culture, how essential will it be for you to fully immerse? Are you going to set time frames for us to know exactly where you've got into as regard this particular Black Stars project?
SOMPA Sports.
So, firstly, it was a huge honor for me to be there yesterday. It's quite obvious what the occasion and what the day meant to everybody there. And I was hugely honored and excited to be there. And hence, in what was an important preparation day tomorrow, it was important for me to be there personally. It was important for the association to stress that it was important for me to be there also. You know, I can tell you, I was brought up in England with a Ghanaian father and brought up in a very English culture. And it's only as I progressed in years that I got to learn far more about my background, my heritage, the culture, and everything. And it's something that has been a huge benefit to my life and my family's life in general. So I'm excited by the prospect of being here, experiencing the culture that we have here. But ultimately also, the most important reason I'm here is to lead the Black Stars to success in games. And this has to take the biggest priority, and will do. And as regards the steps, in this role, there are so many things to do. And we've spoken about a lot of the things even this morning. A lot of the things that I would like to do, we'll have time to do. What I will do is I will get
SOMPA Sports,
our organizational structure in time periods the best way that I can. But remember, it's still about the team. It's still about watching the local players, attending matches, speaking to the local coaches, and also being involved with our other national teams. So that is quite a lot, and I intend to do as much as I can. And as regards timescales, I will do the best that I can. I will always report back to the association as regards the games that we played and the progress that we made, and anything else that's around my role. And that will be my responsibility to the association.
Stevie Manfred, with Love and Asia and Multimedia Group. First of all, I want to ask you, at the World Cup, largely we played between a 3-back, 4-back sometimes. There were a lot of Ghanaians who feel that we have a lot more quality to play with a free-flowing, that's a general phrase over here, attacking football. You have been described as tactically flexible. In an interview with Coach's Voice, you mentioned your 4-4-1-1, 4-2-3-1 and the likes. What do you think is the best set of structure that fits the team on and off the ball? Again, for specifics again, Mohamed Kudus is a player that's a lot of tacticals feel that he's a progressive midfielder. But again, at Ajax Amsterdam, we've seen that at the final third, he has a lot of goals and assists. And people feel that between himself and Victor Osimhen, these are two of the best African strikers in Europe right now. Do you think Mohamed Kudus should be playing in deep line areas with his progressive carries and his press resistance abilities, or he needs to be at the top? And then finally, with everything that you have said and your tax, do you think the 21 months that has been given to you by the association is enough to get this job done? Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so just as regards tactically and how I would set the team up, certainly as a coach, you have to have that flexibility. We can talk about being flexible as coaches and wanting to play in different systems and trying to get the correct players into that system. But it's also about the opposition, the quality of the opposition, and what you are allowed to do. So you have to be, as a coach, you have to be flexible enough for this. I already spoke this morning that, the tactics can be different for when you are playing a top ranked team to a team that's not. Ultimately, it's about trying to use the players in your squad to the best of their abilities, fitting into a system. And this is always the hardest part, because remember, at international level, you will be taking players that play in different systems at their clubs, play in different positions at their clubs. So you have a very short period of time. Generally, you have a system and a structure that you want to play, and you try to work the players around that. Generally, that's the best way to do it, because otherwise there are too many players playing in positions that maybe they're not used to playing. As regards Mohamed Kudus, he's still a developing player. And what I think we are lucky with Kudus is that he is a player that can play in numerous positions. So for everybody here will have a different opinion on his best position. You also have to look at his club. His club are the team, the coach, the assistant coaches that have him every day in the training, every week or twice a week in games. So they would know Kudus better than anybody. And what Ajax have done, they've played him in a few positions. At this moment, he's playing on the right-hand side. For me, it's about just trying to get the right balance and trying to get the best out of players in whichever position. Because one thing that's general is that sometimes there'll be a player playing for the Black Stars or any international team that may be playing a slightly different position for their clubs.
SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports.
As regards the duration of my contract, I have to get that right balance. I have to get that right balance of what is short term, what is medium term, and what is long term. At this moment, always the most important thing is short term. Winning football matches that will get you into a better position for when the other games come round. The medium term, of course, is making sure that you qualify and do well in the competitions itself. The longer term, of course, is about developing players and bringing players, like you've said, through the system, and that takes time. So there is no doubt, as a team that played in the World Cup as the youngest team, is that we have to have an eye on development, and development can take time. And sometimes this is where you need that little bit of patience from the likes of yourselves, the journalists, the supporters, and our right messages. So I think probably the length of my contract is, I think, the correct length. And we know that on
SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports.
All right, yɛbɛsɛn akɔ na yɛabɔ mmɔden na sɛ dwumadie no ɔma borɔborɔ so a ɔmo ɛyɛ wia ne sati yɛbɛyɛ na coach abɔ mmɔden no nano asini aba fidie ma na yɛabaabae mu kakra na afei mama kwan na nso afrɛ ɔbadeɛ na wɔɛspɛte ɛde fi ne hɔ na afei ne nkɔmmɔ no a ɔne yɛdi no nti ma mensan kɔ na mentie ne kakra.
Or otherwise, if Richard Kingston is still the goalkeeper's trainer for the Black Stars.
I will take that. That's the responsibility of the Football Association. What I can announce here is that we haven't made any technical change to the team that represented us at the World Cup. George Boateng and Didi Dramani are still the assistant coaches. Richard Kingston remains the goalkeeper's trainer. There have been some additions in other specific departments, but as regards Richard, Didi, and George, there is no change. Thank you.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, it's obvious that we can exhaust all the questions. I know colleagues still have more questions to ask. So, okay, Dela will take the last one. Mr. Atiasi, I'm considering your age.
Thank you very much. My name is Delali Atiasi from Loud FM. Henry, when you started, we didn't hear you talk about targets. May we know specifically what targets has been set for the coach? Thank you.
SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports. SOMPA Sports.
Yeah, sorry, I'll answer that question. I think as regards targets, this is normal. What is normal is, firstly, as a coach, you do the best job that you can. What is normal from your employees is that they want success. This is normal, whether it be our association, any other association, or football club. You want success. So what is success for us is to do and put ourselves in the best possible position to do as well as we can in an AFCON competition. And this means going to an AFCON final and performing the best that we can and putting ourselves in the best position to win it. This is normal. I think as a coach and as a group of players, you want to win things. We are in a competition that has big competition and a lot of good teams. The African Cup of Nations is a competition that I think has got stronger and better with every competition. But we have to want to put ourselves in a position where we can compete with what we think are the best teams, and to put ourselves in the best possible position to do well in a competition. Ultimately, everybody wants to win a trophy, and we are no different to that, as somebody alluded to.
I think Henry will take the last word, if maybe a closing remarks or something.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank all of you for spending your morning with us. The Football Association greatly appreciates your time. Let me run by you what has been put in place as regards the team's arrival and our schedule in Kumasi. Hopefully, the team will arrive tomorrow afternoon around 1 p.m. Is that right? We will have our first training in Kumasi at the Babayara Sports Stadium in the afternoon after lunch. And then the official training before the match, which is normally called Match Day -1, will take place on Wednesday. And then the game is at 4 p.m. on Thursday. Coach Chris Hughton will speak to the press in a pre-match press conference on Wednesday. So we will communicate the time. As usual, the venue will be at the Babayara Sports. We'll communicate the time tomorrow so that you can be fully aware of that. So we are grateful for your time. Once again, thanks for your company, and see you on Thursday.
All right, thank you very much.
Yerera mu kakra na me my for no me be ba shootout no so ana yerera mu pa, but yendidin come akra cruise Chris Hughton finally wa baba bedu ya man mfie miensa or baba be ejuma ana that's ana honko 2024.
Yes, okay. Even as a 1.5 or let's say a year and 9 months.
Yeah, short pa.
A year and 9 months contract.
On an assistant coach is in.
Yes.
For the first time contract now coach now sign on the two assistants not to sign the same thing.
And I'm the be ejuma.
It is a we dear no Chris dear by we are na say Joy dear by we Didi so dear by we. But I say and it say e ba say omo kwa na omo ko e ba say ye ja omo kwa ya enye say contract na we contract wu.
Abozo, momere mu kakra na bobe 50 hona na 48 na ma farmer free for ne kakra. Menim say be ba shooter no so ne aba be din come up.
I mean, one of the major things that coach has to do with development of players. Or can say one. Ono ankasa benya akwenya akoshe the local games. In fact, the question was posed to him say anyway game course ewa Abraham Kese but say enedi ultimate koshe because minim say or juma be I need to get back to Accra and return. Now ade ba kwa o ma yeti ase say players who develop titi call it take time. And yenya butre na yen enti ase say develop players ama be top national team players e be take time. Yenya that patient no can say yen central for and then supporters yenya butre say see player where you are fan or young and be taking time or be making mistakes or see Kudus still developing and he should tell you say Kudus they do the pick Kudus ball up when you are still developing that. Then how about a young player afe na prodigy afe na ya fan eba e so fan titi e bebremu ansana we do pempe so we expect the best from him some obey mistakes horrible ones Obesa excited when he has a good day. So very important. My only way with that it means that the federation must fashion out a policy like that. Tanker director will be driving depending on when he's available. So that be systematically a review. But so say as we speak today, there's no policy to that effect.
Yes.
See, I'm review no the bar a bit easier mano. Adiba kono say obeshare league matches.
Yes.
And you want Timian can say you share league matches. Obetimian can say at least 1 or 2 will be added to the team because no, say a policy from the FA.
SOMPA Sports.
Because say if you don't have absolute control over that, you refer it back to the FA and then you get back to us. Because at least say at every point identify matches. No share matches not to be able to identify some of the players. And like I keep saying, 25 players not fine. But the opportunity to give your local players a chance to be part of the team and also have an experience, have a feel. Beyond that,
yes.
So it's very important, and it also add value here. Abuanya 1 cup, 2 cup. Our Black Star, amount of value so cost amount club no so nyam. And so I heard that is the only problem I have with the answer to that. I see a bit about target. I see target there. And you may be a more be say set target now. Now target no sub overcall AFCON in the case overcall AFCON 2024. Some do finals. Nice possible magic happen. I heard the thought that in order to answer this game, I had a little problem. But anyway, he's the coach. So our patch said target, and normally this target should be set by the employer. Tina me especially like hearing answer that question. Employees set target money. Never got the answer. I was surprised because I'm expecting Henry to answer that question because first of all, coach no fan F in a fan. The year fan and the many yano. One, I saw qualify Eddie called Ivory Coast 2024. 2 years. Yeah, call Hodoma. The expectation is a worst case scenario semi-finals. So Kobruswa, it means that a bonus.
Yeah.
But for him, the coach to be saying that yes, somewhere Juma was said the NSA saw yeah they were tournament. Then he went ahead to say so AFCON will go to the final if possible win.
Some passports.
Or the pressure needless labor to so. Because this team that we have, a promising team, a team a bit developing, a team with time will explode, you better performing. But for now, and we are looking at AFCON in January. So from now to January, a very difficult task. That our man, but an expectation that goes through. Sanko Kaebi even a quarter final Bever's go. Oko ya di na fe dia ball baso se in spite of challenges I walk around ultimately. But well, your father's on the head coach, you know. Or see Obesa Ama junior national team coaches no nyom ben yankita undi and for me that is very good because you see the experience or any level or obema matia say the technical development he is expecting some more young players no or no say omo free from bebasro or be expect say a kwan we no mo fa so mo titin kola no the niema ba ko mienu be be catch romo and obesa mo matia say or no expectation technically for them. And then and also be man akwenya say junior national teams will be year training and no bomb match or around the year no kwa bruchi so community players or no so be there betimi akọ e de ani akọhwe ordinary sha in terms of tactics on the day depending on how and found their game be kọ no ono so tie kire ohwe no obetimi ato omofo say me train che ni amiso mi hu ni mu de kamo de ho a mu ye no se abeboa akola we mi hu no akola mi fo say obotu de ba mu de no bo 4 anka beboa nienti ameka sana say me hwe we obobo no nyina me hum 13th minute or your way 17th minute or your way and me mu try another option mu de no bo for say bebo na mo ma me feedback and I think that is very key and very important about technical development of your game so when you be a was rosa now obafem now the sabi ni experience the other coaches no say be almost benya nimdie and then ema omo access my local coaches no coach national team access and tiaba sana and yes head coach Chris Hughton was so baby no more fam on betimi say be do baby kana bibi choma dream on betimi akone ho but when be o say access no say nipa na be na ni promo no ye free a no oba ho a who say hey we dey wan share na me ko come asem ko wan share no as ke bi a me
yes
but oh yes oma easy access to him na omo ben no bisa no question no omo gi na dwen kirefa e kwa mo fa so a omo tutu niema about your junior national teams no na almost edi suade
about Zomate minimize be shooter no so ne di on come no more about ne said o chichim no pin pa na bomo de a chechin in maluda va crash also me ma 4 minutes bi na me fa ma frɛ for no na fi ye komra 3 pm be shooter ne aba be come Chris Hughton aba wa din komo be pre hwe ne komo no di ne ma no de odi rema yes I'm tactically my no in the no one experience coach bia technically say any tactics mo tactics no that onimdioye Luther
crazy recently managers are yenyo blasters no ba kwa mitima ka say ye boni din say de adwuma ne man na nkasa no once we yan shede nya problems e won ho a ena ono aso me yehunu say obehu Ghana team no our brand here against Nigeria and when your opportunity team was travel to World Cup ntinya fe na say me benya da just be monitor team no we say untimi enwini trophies without winning good team.
Yes.
And you bet judging based on player development. And in some of our Kenya no we nim the oil. On the Osha say on introducing on our say we had the managerial career. Do one club. Only a Republic of Ireland and acquire Jumaka club of 2003 ever 64 years a Juman nim. A deba kwa Ghana ya ye support ye Black Star no ye japade ba akopɛ won ye Black Star ye support wa ye ni wan agro e nkrofo bebrebe mo munya problem e interference tinam ka medini age ne bae ene ye hwe ba bi ofira wo ba ene ye hwe omo a omo din enam so a obenya adwuma no omo gidie woni mu so betima very successful pa one communication a wo kan ho asem no e wo say ye adwuma secondly ma ye hu say obi na kan say unim ba yesu yenim hwe enkofa play bo a on deserve na nkase yemfa me hwe ko na bibia so ntime nkasa wo so be hwe more games e wo Ghana ha wo betena Ghana ha pa yen managers bi o mo ba Black Stars a enne no mo nam ha e kina no mo nam ha yen ye de support e ma no o mam ye unu say December 2024 na no contract on ni deputies ni nyina aba na wie but o mam ye unu say one oman set target crime na wonim de obe develop players because yenim de coach Kwesi Apia beye Kwesi Apia je adwuma na to no je obeye de to no ma coaches bi beye team be didi ho e ma Ghana kreso ye dey ye didi ho bi and this what me develop players na maye no timi nya players a ombetimi abo a o ko tournament a one unity wom omote omo ase je oka ye bia no ya gina tum ye ta na chi ono so hwe se ani die ni obuo na Ghana for German ne trust na se me kan se ono me ya adwena se bo ni din no Ghana for nya dosun bi e German no awu se the kind of elite coaches na ne ye pe no ebi ene yensa aka entu omra no me ya adwuma na maye ye beta na chi but what na ho e ma sa kanka na e wo ho no we bi ba o no abekasa nsem bebrebe wi ase na o ye de asana hyemekon okọ no aba no abeka kire se no ma na e ho no so okase wo ka wan hwa yin na erebe ho ye mpa bi atie ye de support ma no omra no ma ye adwuma no na onfa maye na de oso ye na se ade bet my legacy so ose ne papa e play vital role e wona brabo mu na omaya ne papa so free so ye tima consider se ne papa e free Ghana ha wa mo national team ama Ghana wa represent here but abefa no say o mesom o man no meboya wonya legacy bi nto emfa maye
Mate Luther minimze ababa na ewia no shootout ni arera ma memfa sima eduma ma frefo no no mo nso coach abom nka akra 0551931931 0551931931